If you were born before 1970, you've likely spent decades building a safety net, money put aside year after year for exactly the kind of security you need now. But thanks to a quiet shift in how interest rates and tax thresholds have collided, HMRC could be entitled to a slice of that interest, even if you'd never in a million years describe yourself as a high net worth individual. Here's the stakes. With savings rates higher than they've been in years, thousands of ordinary savers are crossing a tax-free threshold for the very first time, most of them without realizing it until a letter or a changed tax code tells them otherwise. Subscribe to this channel now, because today I'm showing you the 3 red flags HMRC actually looks for and how you can legally protect your savings before this tax year closes. Let's get into it. The stealth tax reality. Let's strip away the jargon, because this is simpler than it sounds. Every saver gets something called a personal savings allowance, a chunk of interest you can earn each year completely tax-free before HMRC takes any notice at all. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, that allowance is £1,000. If you're a higher rate taxpayer, it drops to £500. Now here's where it gets interesting. A few years ago, with interest rates near zero, almost nobody came close to that limit. You'd have needed an enormous pot of savings to earn £1,000 in interest. Today, with some easy access and fixed rate accounts paying around 5%, a perfectly ordinary £20,000 savings pot generates exactly £1,000 of interest in a year. Not a fortune, just a sensible nest egg. And the moment it tips over that line, you are, in HMRC's eyes, a taxpayer on your savings. Why does this hit people born before 1970 especially hard? Because this is the group most likely to be holding fixed rate bonds or lump sums from a pension or an inheritance that mature and pay out interest all in one go. When a 2 or 3 year bond finally matures, it can release a single, sizable interest payment that pushes you over the threshold in one hit. And that's exactly the kind of payment that gets flagged. Part 3. HMRC's 3 red flags. So how does HMRC actually find out? Here are the 3 things that bring you onto their radar. Red flag 1, the reported interest. Your bank or building society reports the interest it pays you directly to HMRC every year. You don't need to declare it yourself for this to happen. If you're employed or receiving a private pension through PAYE and your interest goes over your allowance, HMRC usually adjusts your tax code the following year to collect what's owed, simply by reducing your tax-free personal allowance slightly. If you're not on a PAYE code at all, say your only income is the state pension plus savings, HMRC will instead send what's called a simple assessment letter, asking you to pay the difference directly. So if your tax code's changed, or a letter like that's turned up, this is very likely why. Red flag 2, joint accounts. This is the one that catches couples out constantly. Interest on a joint account is normally split 50-50 for tax purposes, and each of you uses your own personal savings allowance against your half. The trap is when one partner is a basic rate taxpayer with their allowance untouched, and the others already use theirs up through other savings or a higher income. People assume the joint pot is one allowance shared between 2 people. It isn't. It's 2 separate allowances, and not checking who's using what is one of the most common and easily avoidable mistakes. Red flag 3, the chase for 5%. Over the last couple of years, a lot of savers moved money out of accounts paying next to nothing and into the best easy access deals chasing 4 or 5%. Sensible move on the surface. But many didn't pause to work out what that better rate would actually cost them in tax the following year. Because the higher the rate, the less you need saved to breach your allowance. A rate hike that felt like a win in the moment can quietly turn into a tax bill nobody budgeted for. Part 4. The solutions. Now for the part that actually matters, what you do about it. The ISA shield. Every tax year you can put up to £20,000 into ISAs, and every penny of interest earned inside one is completely tax-free for life, regardless of your personal savings allowance. If you're not already using this, it's the single biggest lever available to you. And here's something worth knowing if you're in or approaching retirement. From April 2027, the cash ISA allowance for people under 65 is being cut to £12,000. If you're 65 or older, that change doesn't apply to you at all. You keep the full £20,000 cash ISA allowance. So this particular squeeze, for once, isn't aimed at this audience. The starting rate for savings, the one most people have never heard of. On top of your personal savings allowance, there's a separate band called the starting rate for savings, worth up to £5,000 at 0% tax. It's available if your other income, pension, salary, rental income, is below £12,570 a year, and it tapers away gradually as that income rises, disappearing entirely once you're earning around £17,570. For someone living mainly on the state pension with modest other income, this can mean earning up to roughly £18,500 in savings interest before paying a penny of tax. Once you stack your personal allowance, your personal savings allowance, and this starting rate together. If your income is on the lower side, it is genuinely worth checking whether you qualify, because an enormous number of retirees never do. Gift and shift. If one spouse is a higher rate taxpayer and the other has unused personal savings allowance sitting idle, moving savings into the lower taxed spouse's name or into joint names can mean that interest is taxed far more gently or not at all. One important point of honesty here: this needs to be a genuine transfer of ownership, not simply moving money on paper while one person still controls it. HMRC does look at whether transfers are real, so this only works if it's a proper gift. Part 5. Summary and call to action. Let's bring this together into 3 things to do this week. 1. Add up the total interest you're earning across every savings account you hold, not just the one you check most often. 2. Make sure you're using your ISA allowance before relying on the personal savings allowance for the rest. 3. If you're retired or on a lower income, look into whether the starting rate for savings applies to you. It's a genuine £5,000 opportunity that gets overlooked constantly. This is general guidance, not personalised tax advice. Your own situation might have wrinkles worth running past an accountant or HMRC directly, particularly if you're close to one of these thresholds. Have you noticed your tax code change recently? Or has HMRC already sent you a calculation? Tell me in the comments. It helps everyone watching to know what's actually landing on people's doormats right now, not just what the rules say on paper. Stay one step ahead. I'll see you in the next update.